Today, we're going to take a look at angular resolution. Hello, I'm LimeyPlay and thank you so much for joining me today. Whilst trying to decide what video I was going to do for today, I was scrolling through the regular sort of internet stuff. Most of the stuff I do comes from YouTube, and I keep seeming to gravitate back towards the usual flat earth BS, and I stumbled across another damage control video by the one and only, thankfully, Nathan Oakley of the dwindling flat earth debates. In it, he desperately tries to explain how angular resolution causes things to disappear from the bottom up. In a way, he's not wrong, but at the same time, he is completely fucking wrong. Now, despite how many times this is made crystal clear to the contrary of what he believes by different members of the global community, he either doesn't understand it still or is just flat out lying in hopes of holding on to his young flirflings. I do think he's in it for the money, but some of it I think he kind of believes, maybe just because he's repeated it so many times. But just like with his misunderstanding of the second law of thermodynamics, he's dead fucking wrong. And although I realise that flirfs will either not pay attention to me or just flat out deny the truth, it's still worth trying to teach them. It might stop just one person from wasting years of their life following this ridiculous nonsense, or it might bring someone back that has been in it for a little while and is teaching their kids this nonsense. It's irresponsible, it's wrong, it's dangerous, and it's affecting more people than we can imagine, because a lot of them are trying to teach their kids this stuff. And that, to me, is bordering on child abuse, mentally. So, as painful as it is, let's start by watching his short, irritating video.
The most limited angle is at the bottom.
Wrong. Wow. We're not starting off very well, are we, Nathan? Angular resolution explains the resolving power of an imaging device such as a camera, telescope, or the human eye, with resolution basically referring to the minimum resolvable distance between distinguishable objects. Whether using a camera or your eyes to look at a distant object, this occurs in the centre of the lens. This is why turning your head to the side will not help you to resolve those distant objects inside the angular spread. If Nathan's claim was based in reality, we could basically resolve the image by looking down or, tilting our head.
So if I expand this picture and make it further away, i.e. the guy on the left further from the guy on the right, that limitation becomes more and more acute.
Wrong. First, we'll just say that in mathematics, an acute angle is any angle smaller than 90 degrees. And although incorrect, a lot of people might say that an angle is becoming more acute as it gets smaller. However, this angle doesn't change in size, without changing the focus of the lens. Moving people further apart whilst keeping the focus the same would actually cause a larger area to be covered by the angle of resolution. Nothing in this example is getting more acute except maybe the pain in my head.
Smaller. The angle gets less.
Thank you for clarifying what you meant, and no, as we just discussed.
As it gets further away, meaning that you lose more and more and more from the bottom up.
I'm going to skip his, in my opinion, too long and, too repetitive of an intro. Once you've seen it once, you just don't want to watch it again. But before we do, let's just take a moment to enjoy the fact that Nathan just can't maths. That's the stuff. Now, Nathan, let's disprove your disappearing bottom-up angular resolution claim. It's a simple experiment that you can try at home with no real equipment, save yourself. Now, look directly at something and notice how, it is in the center of your field of view. Now, notice how much you can see from the center of your field of view to the bottom. Crazy, huh? In fact, if you tried this with the horizon and just us seeing like all that water below the boat kind of disproves your theory, because this is the bottom of our field of view. Also, if it somehow made, the bottom of the object disappear and it, land right back on top of the horizon, wouldn't angling your view slightly down, bringing that back whilst making part of the ocean disappear? Your claim just doesn't work because it's not based in reality or how lenses, including our eyes, work.
Diffraction limits are based on the aperture of the thing you're viewing through, not the angle to whatever you're looking at.
This is half right. Whilst diffraction limited angular resolution is dependent on the aperture of the lens involved, it also takes into account the wavelength of light entering that aperture. If we said that the light entering the aperture of a circular lens looked like this sine wave, then lambda would be the measurement between any 2 points with the same phase, such as the crests, the troughs, or the zero crossings. Using the Rayleigh criterion, we can take the value for lambda, divide it by d, which is the diameter of the lens aperture or opening, and then multiply it by 1.22 to get the value for theta, which would be the angular resolution. The factor 1.22 is derived from a calculation of the position of the first dark circular ring surrounding the airy disk of the pattern. The airy disk being the best focused spot of light that a perfect lens with a circular aperture can make, limited by the diffraction of light, of course. And thus can be used for all circular apertures when working out angular resolution and various other things.
Do you want to expand on this and then explain where this effect is accounted for in Earth curve maths, please?
Oh, Nathan. Are you being this asinine on purpose, or do you not realise that this is just a really silly thing to say? I guess whether or not you actually believe this nonsense, it's kind of a good question to pull the wool over the eyes of your faithful followers. However, I would like to enlighten them and most likely you on this point. Calculating Earth curve calculates how much of the object should be hidden by Earth curvature. Obviously, this amount can differ slightly with refraction, as well as the viewer height and the distance from the viewer to said object. Angular resolution simply dictates how much detail we can distinguish based on the instrument lens only. To explain it even simpler to you, Nathan, I want you to picture a beautiful photo like the Blackpool Tower photo that you're so enjoying lately. Now, if we change none of the values whatsoever, but had the cameraman leave his camera on the tripod and turn himself away whilst setting the timer, say, all of those values are still there. The amount that's hidden by the curve is still hidden by the curve, and the camera would take the exact same picture as if he was looking whilst pressing the button. However, he can't see any of that, so he's unable to distinguish any of it, obviously. It's kind of like that, but you are looking at it, and inside that angular resolution, you just can't make out enough detail to distinguish different objects. This is kind of why you would think that it's always at the bottom when, say, looking at a ship, because often the bow of the ship, or the stern as it's going away, would be the closest part of the ship to you, and so would be the hardest part to resolve at such a long distance. Yet this exact same amount of the mountain would be hidden behind Earth curve. Hopefully this would explain to you how your P1000s are able to bring things back over the curve. They're not actually bringing things back over the curve. They're bringing things back into focus.
Yeah, you said it's based on the angle to the thing. That's incorrect. It's based on the diffraction limits are based on the aperture of whatever you're looking through.
I see. And that's accounted for where in Earth curve maths?
Weren't you listening, Nathan? We literally just covered this.
The Rayleigh criteria.
Where's that in Earth curve maths?
I give up.
Earth curve math? Well,
Yeah.
We're talking about you can see what you cannot.
Yeah. I'll reply.
This would be where Nathan gets a chub on because he thinks he's onto a winning tactic.
In the Earth curve maths, There aren't any calculations for diffraction limits based on aperture.
Because there doesn't need to be, and you portraying that there should either means that you're too uneducated to just understand it, or worse, you do understand it and are lying to all of your followers hoping that they're too uneducated to get it.
No. We see the side of our own head holding the camera. We don't actually calculate for what the camera sees when we do Earth curve maths.
Because it's only changing the clarity of what is already there to be seen. So, looking at this picture you're sharing now, all of that ship is available to be seen. This means that it hasn't gone over the curve yet from the viewer's relative position. However, the viewer is far enough away that with the current lens view they are using, and again, this could be their eye or even a camera that can't zoom in far enough. So with this current lens and the current lighting conditions, they are unable to distinguish the area of view here with this area here. Or we could say that they cannot resolve this entire area here. So to them, it looks like the ship has gone over the curve already because they cannot separate that part of the ship from the water in front of it.
It puts it in side view, something that absolutely does not look like what we see when we compare that maths to pictures.
That's because side view normally makes it easier to see all of the variables. If you can't understand these objects and translate 2D images into 3D, thought, then there's probably no helping you. Just to try and help, here's a excellent video by Dazza the cameraman, who I will link in the description.
Some screenshots from the video and compare the proportion of the ship that is hidden and compare it at the different stages as I zoom in. Are we seeing more of the ship above the horizon as I zoom in, or does the proportion remain exactly the same?
So we can see now the ship on the left starting to emerge. When zoomed all of the way out, we could not even see it because it all fit inside our diffraction limited angular resolution.
Clearly see the crane towers coming into view and the bridge of the ship there. So we should have enough information here now to take a good screenshot that we can compare as I zoom in further. Clearer shot now. Now I am focusing in on the ship on the middle, but I will pan across to the left in just a moment. So here is another clearer opportunity to get a screenshot of this ship here as I'm zooming in. And I'm going to zoom past it and then I'm going to pan to the left. Here we go. Are we seeing any more of that ship as I'm zooming in to the full 125 times optical zoom? No, the amount of ship that is visible above the horizon is exactly the same proportion as when I was zoomed out.
Excellent demonstration showing that A, just because a lens cannot resolve something does not mean it's not there. And more importantly, B, no matter how much you zoom in, you cannot see more of the object than is available to see. i.e., you won't see shit once it's gone over the curve.
Doesn't have the Rayleigh criterion in it. Whatever gave you that idea? Why would it be that you're here telling me about how the Rayleigh criterion works when it's not working in your Earth curve maths?
Finally, I would just like to point out, mainly for Nathan Oakley's subscribers, that if he was as confident as he claims, if he actually believed his arguments, then he would have absolutely no need to yell at people, call them names, mute and or boot them, or post multiple videos in a short amount of time of the same rebuttals to undeniable proof, such as the Blackpool photo, or he'd step out of his echo chamber to have a real life debate. But no, he sticks to the current tactics because it's his income stream that he really believes in, and he doesn't want to lose people who end up starting to see sense. So he's trying to push out this mass brainwashing. All that being said, I'm inviting you, Nathan, to step out of your echo chamber, your comfort bubble, and debate me. Back up the stuff that you're supposed to believe in and preach all of the time. It's time you actually worked for the money that you con out of people. You can reach me on any of the social media links in the description. And with that, I think I've had enough of him for today. If you enjoyed today's video, please do hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. If you would like to support my content, you can join my Patreon or make a one-time donation via PayPal, or come over to my Discord server to chat to me and other subscribers and content creators. All links to that are in the description. As always, I've been LimeyPlay. Take care of each other and stay safe.